So when you go about applying Neville's work or this style of work, there's something very important that you have to do. You have to embrace mystery. What I mean by that is I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how this works, and you think it's going to be found in the books. You think that if you study the books long enough, you're one day going to understand the ways in which imagination creates in life. And you see this a lot in people who want to almost control it. And in a sense, there's a feeling of almost fear in them because they want to know it all. And it's kind of doesn't make sense, because if it requires faith, requires some sort of completely, Neville said, I would trust my imagination implicitly. If it requires a sense of trust, that is a response, really a beautiful and, a beautiful response to uncertainty, right? Because you can doubt it as well, which is also a response to uncertainty. But trusting it's purposeful, it's intentional, and it embraces mystery. So to me, that's what I see Neville doing. I see Neville embracing mystery, because when he says God created, or God became man that man may become God, and this is the greatest story ever told, and nothing can top this story, he believes it. Now you can go, well, how did he do this? Does that mean that man always existed? Does this mean that when God became man, what's the process in that? How does this look? At what point does this happen in life? And you can go down that route, but you don't get very far. You sort of have to embrace it. Embrace that it's a mysterious thing, that God became you, and that your origin and your ending is going to be God. And you embrace that God will not be found outside of you. It will be found within you, and you're going to find him as your very self. And that's something you embrace, or it's something you accept. It's a mystery. Paul called it a mystery, called the gospel, the mystery of Christ, the Savior within us. It's a mystery how it works. And while you're here, you can, in a sense, use this mystery, this mysterious thing called Christ, or called the imagination, to create in your world. And the way Neville gave was that, in a sense, you assume that let's say you want to be more known in the world. You start feeling yourself to be recognized, that you're known. Walk as if and start feeling. When you start feeling it, you'll start to think from it. It just happens naturally. When you actually feel you are something, you kind of accept it. You'll notice that your thoughts will naturally start to go down that route. And whatever you might, if you start to feel more recognized, you start to feel more known in your life, you start to feel more famous, you will, in a sense, naturally almost find yourself eavesdropping from hearing people talk about you. Or you'll see people look at you in your mind, or you will, something that implies this love, this mood that you're feeling after, it will become a picture. It becomes a picture in your mind, this mood. And I think that's what's happening, is that we catch the mood and we kind of let the mind develop a certain picture of it. And you just accept it. And if another one comes, you just accept it. And if another one comes, you just accept it. But how these things will come about, I spent time trying to understand that. And I realized I don't know. I accept that. I have embraced that I don't know. I'm, in a sense, really not called to know these things. I'm called to imagine. I'm called to have faith. And faith is the assurance of things imagined. I feel assured in what I've imagined. I trust in it completely to where I feel assured. And that's how I create in my life. And you can do it for any little thing in your life, to the larger things, to the smaller things. And you can, stub your toe and you revise that if you want. And you have to embrace it. Because if you notice, Neville really is not trying to, you have to see, we're sort of studying a person who didn't even really look into it that way. He trusted it. He practiced it. And again, you can't really trust it completely if you're trying to understand it from what are the ways in which, what are the means in which I'm going to go? What's the bridge? I actually don't try to figure that out anymore. I've embraced mystery. That's what I see Neville doing, and I understand that. I understand that now, because I just concluded after years of looking into it and trying it out that I never knew how it came about. Once I see things come about, I look back and I realize I could have never figured that out. And the way I worded it was like this. Neville has said that it happens when you least expect it, right? And he also says that it would have happened anyway. That's how you're going to feel. So if it's going to happen when I least expect it, why expect anything at all? Why not just focus on what I'm imagining? Why try to focus on its externalization or expecting it to externalize? Why not just focus on what I'm imagining? If it's going to happen when I least expect it, and if it happens, if it's going to feel like it would have happened anyway, then why not be more relaxed in my life? Why not let go of trying to control things? If it's going to feel like it's going to feel natural in a sense, right? It's going to feel like it would have happened anyway. That's another way of saying it's going to feel natural. So why not start feeling more natural about life? I feel like it's going to naturally develop, and I start to walk through my life more naturally instead of feeling anxious, living in some type of nervous expectation while also feeling like I have to control everything. It's when you realize that if it always comes about in this way, then you start to let go. You start to just embrace that this is how it works. You accept the mystery of how it works, and you just practice it by imagining fulfillments all throughout your day. Every day, just imagine you can do something in your life that you can imagine some fulfillment. It can really be as simple as some appliance is broken and you imagine it being fixed, to experiencing an entirely different reality. You can do both ends of the spectrum, but it's important that you start with anything, and don't try to understand it too much on how it works, because I guess you can if you want. I can't tell you what to do, but I'm telling you my experience is that I don't think it's that I wasn't intelligent enough or I wasn't smart enough. It's just I realized over time that I'm wasting time. I'm not actually practicing it. I'm wasting time by when I could be applying it by trying to read all about it or figure it out. You learn more through practice of it. And it's just a very mysterious thing on how this works. And everyone seems to call this thing a mystery. Even Neville said it was a mystery. He said that when these mystical things were happening to him, he would try to tell people. And he goes, all they could look at me, they looked at me almost just like, oh, poor Neville, strange things have happened to him. And he kind of just like, he didn't feel that though. He felt like there's something happened to him. He said it was like a burden because it felt like a mystery. And I didn't understand really what happened to me. And I would try to tell it, and people would just look at me and say, poor Neville. And that's not really what he was trying to do. He was just trying to share what was happening to him. And like I said, I've had my own experiences. It's not that you're crazy. It's just these experiences happen within people, and they've talked about it throughout. This is a part of man. This is what happens to man. And man should talk about their visions that they have. But yeah, it's kind of all I have for this one. I just see Neville embracing mystery, and maybe at one point, I'm kind of young still. To some people I'm not, but I'm kind of young to me. I still feel young, and realizing that this isn't the route to take for me. And I see why Neville didn't really take it either, and just embraced practicing it and embracing that he doesn't quite know how it works either, but he just knows it does. And that's good enough. That is good enough. If it's good enough to get you to apply it, then it's good enough knowledge. So whatever it is that you need to know to apply it, or for me in the case, I need to take my hands off of trying to figure it out. I needed to actually stop to apply it. I need to embrace the mystery of it all to apply it. And that's where I get the idea of imagining for the sake of it. Because when you embrace the mystery of how it works, you embrace the mystery of how things unfold, then you just naturally become focused on what you're imagining. You no longer really care. You don't feel nervous or anxious how things come about. You just imagine away. And you imagine this, and you imagine that, and you imagine this, and you fill up your whole mind. You literally almost create a whole different environment to live in. So yeah, that's all I had for this one. I guess, yeah, I do live streaming. I have my book out, where I do Q&As. People have a lot of questions, right, in the live stream. So I basically, if you don't know, people come and they have questions, I'll answer them. And I'll give my take on things Neville has said, or just my experience with testing this imagination of ours. But if you're interested in all those things, just go to the description; it'll be there. But yeah, I just again embrace the mystery. It's very important that you do this because you're gonna feel much better, and you're actually gonna take more action in imagination when you do this. You're going to trust yourself more.